You must remember this. Second place is not a miss. A sigh is just a sigh. The fundamental things apply as time goes by.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Heroes of Secondary podcast. Am I misremembering that? This is episode 65, and this is your host, Trevor. Joining me, as usual, is...
Hey, guys, this is Prague.
My dog caught a bunny rabbit tonight, and I don't know if it's going to survive. This is DeLorean Wolfgang. Yeah, I didn't tell you guys that story. Yeah, I didn't tell you that story pre-show.
Whoa, I guess he was hopping mad.
Yeah, one of my dogs caught a rabbit this afternoon. Anyways, but I think it survived or something. I don't know. It hopped away, hopefully.
Okay.
But Prague, you chose a Frank Sinatra song at the very beginning of this show.
Got to test them singing chops.
Yeah,
For
I
some
just
reason.
I just wanted to see you croon on the mic tonight. No, it is a tie-in to what we were talking about tonight, and what we were talking about is misremembered quotes throughout movie history, and we're going to throw in some TV and music in there as well today. But it comes from a movie called Casablanca.
What?
Casablanca, this old black and white film. Probably none of you have seen it because I am old. I'm old man Brock. What can I say?
Here's looking at you, kid.
Oh, there you go. Now, that actually is in the movie. That's a quote, but that's not the quote that is misquoted from Casablanca. So the one that is probably one of the most famous ones that we can probably start off the show with here is "Play it again, Sam," which is not in the movie, and yet it's been quoted in so many different movies and TV shows over the years, right?
But why do you think that is, though? What is it that made us think that this is one of those quotes that everybody remembers from Casablanca?
So I think this is what we're going to be talking about throughout this whole episode here, and it's the crux of the issue is a lot of times I think quotes are either just too long for people or they're not as catchy for them. So it's kind of like the game telephone you play as a kid. You know, you have this long conversation, and by the time it gets to the person at the end, it's modified and sometimes shortened, but still the same message, right? And I think that's kind of what went on there. I believe the actual quote was, let me see if I can find it here, because it was really long. It wasn't something as simple as that, right? You know, it was because he's in the bar, he's asking for Sam to play a song. It's not "Play It Again, Sam." Let's see. It is "Play it, Sam. Play as time goes by," which is the song that you just sang. Now, does that roll off the tongue? Is that something that you're going to be like saying all the time to people?
Again, Sam.
If your buddy over at a party is at the piano and he's like, play it, Sam. Play as time goes by.
I just don't understand how they were able to get "Play It Again, Sam" out of that long quote, though. That's where the confusion
Because then it's referenced over and over again. Like, I first saw it, and there was a Bugs Bunny Looney Tunes version of Casablanca, and he says it to Daffy.
I'm pretty sure there's a Simpsons episode where they do the same thing.
I don't know why writers go and reference things and make it simpler.
No idea. But we're going to delve into that because there's a lot of quotes like this. And I think that was probably the earliest one. I think that's the one that kind of started it all off, you know, because Casablanca is such a famous movie. And I think it alone gets referenced in so many things to begin with. So it makes sense to have that quote be the one to do it. Especially since it's really easy to walk up to people in any kind of show or movie who's sitting at a piano and just be like, "Hey, play it again, Sam."
Oh, you know? That's not what I say. I always say, "Play Freebird."
Well, yeah, or that, of course, yes. Always Freebird.
Well, cool. Well, before we get into more of that, hey, make sure to follow us over on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, all at Secondary Heroes. And if you haven't already, please rate and review our podcast on iTunes, because all of this is free for you and priceless to us. Let's get back to it.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
So now I think we should kind of do some of the big ones right away, and then we can go into some other big ones later. But that was a big one, obvioll, but I'm also
big
old.
One. Hot take: Casablanca is not that good. Hot
take. This isn't a hot take episode, sir.
Okay, hold on. I'll say the one thing that I will say is maybe back in like 1950, whatever, it was good. But yeah,
You see those AFI top 100 lists, and Casablanca's like 3. You're like, okay,
always in there.
3, the number 3 movie ever made. No one's ever improved upon it and had better acting or scripting or cinematography ever in movie making. That's just so good.
Well, that's just like Citizen Kane. I'm over it, man.
That's like the number 1 movie on every list.
It's
not to derail the conversation, but I
this
kind
is
of
kind of derailing.
We need a podcast just of those terrible top lists of movies.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I agree with you there.
We'll go on for hours.
I don't want to have to watch those movies ever again. They're fine. Like, they're not awful. They're just not like, it's not a movie I would put as the greatest, either one of those two. So,
well, there's just
they're
been
influential.
So many.
I get it. I get the influence. I get it.
Right, but that doesn't mean that they have to be on every top list forever for the end of time.
Right.
Like,
Sure.
there's been movies that are far superior.
But it is funny that the quote gets
that influence.
from it,
Yeah, does live for misremembered quotes.
Right. That's
so
pretty much
and
it.
and back to the misremembered quotes. A lot of misremembered quotes, from what I did in my research, a lot of them are like just one word is just
Semantics
different.
too.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
We were
just
talking
something
about this
just as
before the
stupid
show.
as that. Like, if you were to sit there and correct someone, you would be like, "Come on, man, shut
But
up."
that might be to my point that it's easier then for people to simplify. It's almost like simplifying it, because sometimes there's an extra word in there or a rearrangement of words that makes it not as easy to roll off the tongue. And that's probably why people were saying it wrong, because it was easier to say it a different way all the time.
It's also a context thing, just because context is so needed in a movie and you have to reduce it down where I can reference it. Yeah, it's kind of like the Star Wars one. I mean, Star Wars,
that's the one I was
Luke, I'm
talk
your
about.
father, is one of the biggest ones of all time. And he never says that. And he says, no, I'm your father, but that doesn't make any sense by itself.
We can walk up to somebody, no, I'm your father.
Luke has to say,
I am your father.
He told me you killed him, referring to Obi-Wan saying that you killed my father. So it's a whole context thing.
Well, and the whole, I know that we discussed this during pre-show, but I mean, other movies have misquoted that to where now it's almost in the vernacular as Luke, I am your father. Like, first thing that pops into my mind, Tommy Boy. He's sitting in front of the fan. He's going, Luke, I am your father.
Yeah, what kid hasn't done that, right? Like, you walk up to a fan all the time. Ever since I was a kid, I still do that.
Yeah, well, of course.
I still quote it that way.
Awesome. But that's because, that's because we were misled by a whole nother movie that misread that movie. So it's kind of funny how this whole thing works. Because it's really. other movies and other influences can change how we now perceive these movies.
Right. And before we move on, we are going to talk about a lot of different ones here. But if there's anything that, if you're listening to this and there's something, maybe a famous line for something that we didn't talk about today, let us know. Put it in the notes there, or wherever we're at, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and let us know what your favorite one is. Maybe it's something that you as a kid were like, I swear it was that, and it was not.
Yeah, that's like the Berenstein Bears.
Right.
Exactly, like or Bearstein.
Right? Which is it?
That was the craziest one. Like, the quotes, I was like, okay, I can see but no, that one, no.
That one, no. Like, no. History, you are wrong. Which I think is going to bring me to one of my bullet points tonight, was this whole idea of and we've talked about this in other episodes before, the Mandela effect, right? This idea that as a culture, we misremember things, and it's not just movie quotes. It could be anything. It can be like logos of companies that we swear were one way when we were younger, and now that we're adults, we look at it and go, wait a second, I swear that was a different way, or that sounded different, right? But people think that it's some kind of trickery, that there's something going on, that something is erasing our history or rewriting history.
Well, it's always funny to think about too. It's always funny to like delve in a little bit deeper on stuff like that.
Oh, definitely. Of course.
I feel like I've hit a whole lot of wormholes on YouTube where I'm going through the Mandela effect type of stuff.
And then you realize how silly it is, but it's fun. It's fun to go down those rabbit holes and see what other people think about it. Because there's other people that swear by the same thing, right? It's not just one person.
That's what's
makes
weird.
It so credible.
Is when you share it with other people. Yeah.
You're like, wait a second, yeah, I could have sworn it was that too. I mean,
Because when you travel through the time, man, it changes the past, and now we have a
like,
new future,
you
and it
have
just
to
happens
wonder
simultaneously.
who is time traveling in the past and stepping on butterflies and
Yeah.
causing these changes. Like, who has a DeLorean that's doing this to us? I wonder. Alex.
Can we should definitely move on.
I see.
I'm saving butterflies, not killing them.
Yeah, but
Or bunnies. I saved a
one
bunny
thing
today
that
from my
I
dog.
did. So one thing that I have always done in my head is I will sing a theme song to, say, a cartoon that I grew up with, right? And I would sing it in my head every day, and then I'll
Steamboat
go
Willie.
onto YouTube and I'll watch it, and I'm like, oh my god, that's nothing at all like what I've been singing in my head for 20, 30 years. When did that change? And it's probably not that it changed. It's probably because I was singing it wrong, because I was bad at probably hearing what the lyrics were, or whatever the case may be.
Well, when it comes to lyrics too, I feel like there's a lot of people who just want to they want to look into the more funny type of lyrics. Like instead of Tiny Dancer, they're talking about Tony Danza or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's stupid stuff. Like, you can clearly hear some of these lyrics, but people are like, oh, well, it sounds like this, so I'm going to say it funny.
Right.
You know, that's one thing but I want stuff that's like real, like where people are like, oh my God, I totally thought it was this.
Right.
You know?
Well, it's like Play It Again, Sam. Like, how do you even get to that? And I think maybe it's because that film is a lot older than a lot of the other ones that's going to be on our list today, is that it's that telephone effect. It's so far in the past that by the time it's reached us now, it's been through too many other references, and it's been boiled down to that simple catchphrase. Play it again, Sam.
I do want to bring one up because I actually made this mistake in a previous episode.
Ooh.
One of my intros for my name was Beam Me Up, Scotty. This is DeLorean Wolfgang. The actual quote in the movie is Scotty, beam me up, or Scotty, beam us up.
Right. And I believe a friend of the show, Ed Pogue, is the one that pointed it out to us, who's a Star Trek fan.
Yes. Yeah, so, they never actually say it in the main run of the show, and only in number 4 does he even come close.
Right. So, and we've been saying that for a long time. We all say that, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Beam me up, Scotty.
And it's
which is wrong. Don't listen to me.
Don't say that.
Don't say
that. Not right. Get that out of your head now.
Kansas anymore, Toto.
Actually, I think that is the right. Or it's Toto, I think is how it begins.
Yeah, it starts with Toto.
Yeah, it starts with Toto, not it ends with Toto.
But
it's also
feeling.
Toto, I've got a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. But that's the thing is I've always heard it. I've always thought, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore.
Toto, we ain't in Kansas, bro.
Yeah,
that's how I remembered it.
Hey, doggy.
Hey, mutt. But no, I've heard it in other films referenced as, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. You hear that quite often, and probably more so, I want to say back in like the 80s and 90s, that phrase was used a lot more. Like
like in space stuff where they go to like new galaxies.
Right, like, oh, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. It's like, I mean, at least that's a little bit different. Like, they're not like purposely trying to like reference the exact quote. You can kind of tell that they're trying to modify it for the situation. So that kind of makes sense, but still makes you misremember the original quote, I guess. But is that really important, though? Is that, I think that's another thing we should talk about. Is it really important that it's not exactly the same, that the point of the quote at least is remembered?
I think what it does is it keeps that film alive.
Yeah, I think so too.
It keeps that film alive. Yeah, it might be wrong. And the thing is, I'll end up saying misquoted lines to my kid one day. My kid's going to end up watching that movie and go,
what the heck?
Dad, you're an idiot.
You're dumb.
So you've been saying it wrong all these years. But that's fun, though. I mean, I always found that to be interesting, going back and seeing some of these movies, and something that you have been saying this whole time is wrong.
Right.
Fun. I like it. I kind of dig it, but some of them are a little far-fetched. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, we're going to need a bigger boat instead of you're going to need a bigger boat. I mean, that's
Right.
not a huge difference.
I mean,
right
they're
there.
both on the same boat, so
Exactly.
it's like
Not
yeah,
only
we're going to.
that, but it makes sense to possess it when you're talking to somebody else. You know, it's
Right.
moving a quote to make it familiar to your conversation rather than the movie's conversation.
Good point.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. And
Like
by the way,
Prague, you're going to need a bigger boat. Not like Prague, he's going to need a bigger boat. I guess that's if I was talking to Alex and Prague isn't here. It's a whole context thing.
It is.
exactly. Yeah. And that's a Jaws line, just in case for those who are keeping notes.
What movie? Is that the big alligator in it?
Oh, the big
Yes,
alligator.
in that
Love
lake.
one.
I believe
Yeah.
it was a placid lake,
I think so.
but Jaws comes in. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jaws
He saves
comes-
the day.
Saves the day.
misremembered.
That's a good one. I do like that one. Do you know, Alex, you were talking about other stuff that you're like movie misquotes. I'm not movie, song misquotes that you're looking up too, not just movies.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing with the song misquotes is a lot of people like the goof off ones that I feel like a lot of these articles that I was reading, I feel like they were just goofing off when they made these articles, and it's kind of dumb. Like for instance, this one, like we built this city on rock and roll. Yeah, we built this city on rock and roll. Everybody
Right.
knows that. But for some reason, they think people
Rocky
seem
Road.
to think. What do you guys think that they say? in this?
Well,
What's
now I think
wrong?
Rocky Road. Now that
Yeah,
you
Rocky
said
Road.
it,
Rocky Road.
Yeah.
That's not even close.
Oh,
what?
People
that's a
think
good one though.
we
Yeah.
built this city on sausage rolls.
No, they don't. That's
No,
Isn't that
Rocky Road
ridiculous?
is a good one.
This is a Rocky Road makes sense because it actually sounds like that.
right.
And for some reason, they had a sausage theme because the next one was
Sausage theme. Got sausage on the brain.
It was from Bohemian Rhapsody, Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody. Spare him this life from this monstrosity. What do you guys think would be misquoted there?
With sausage
Monstrosity?
reference?
Right. I don't know.
With a sausage reference. Spare him his life from this monstrosity. Where do
Spare
you
him
think
this life from his vasectomy?
that actually sounds better than what
Okay.
I'm about to tell you that
What?
people seem to think. People seem to think the incorrect, saving his life from this warm sausage tea.
Okay, that's
Exactly,
worst.
dude.
That is worst.
That's why I'm
Nice.
like, some
Thank
of this
you.
is
Someone got it. Nice, he
oh
says.
god.
It took you a
There it
second.
is.
All
Yep.
right.
Sorry, I'm reading and
Right.
But here's one that actually I've
Let's hear it.
always heard.
Okay.
Purple Haze from Jimi Hendrix.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me while I kiss the sky.
Kiss the Sky, yeah.
Now that one I could see people think, excuse me while I kiss the sky.
Right.
That I could see
Well,
is a misheard
here's the
quote.
thing about music is it's all distorted under all the other sound too. So you're
All the
hearing
music,
stuff
yes.
and you're hearing it differently. They're singing it. They're not saying it. And a lot of times the audio recordings are either bad or whatever. So you're it's easy to mishear lyrics. Like
Yeah, that
I'm not
kinda-
mishearing warm sausage tea
no, that's ridiculous.
in Bohemian Rhapsody.
That's a tough stretch. But with the audio thing, that also ties into maybe that's why old movies are the ones that are most prone to be misremembered because
Yeah.
sound mixing and editing wasn't as good as it is today.
Yeah, they mishear words. Words drop off and the sound missing. So they're
Yeah,
not
the
quite
equipment just
hearing it.
wasn't the same.
Right. No,
But
that makes
jumping
sense.
back to the Casablanca, I mean, there was no other sounds. That is literally him just saying his
A big
line.
long
Lines in the
line.
background.
Right.
Sure. World War II in the background. I don't know.
Yeah, World War II is going on in the background. Learn against
Oh, I love it.
Well, just to jump back over into movies for a second, and we can bounce back and forth to
Sure,
music and
of
movies
course.
if you guys
And
don't
TV
mind. I
shows
mean,
too,
this
yeah.
is we're just having fun tonight,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
who cares? One thing that I always found funny was the old Dracula movies. Ever since I was a little kid, I've always heard, "I want to suck your blood," and I mean that could come from the cartoons and all that stuff. But Dracula has never said, "I want to suck your blood."
Ever?
And so No. Maybe okay. In Tim Burton's Ed Wood.
Yeah, the Ed Wood. Yeah,
That doesn't technically count, right?
but that's
I mean,
the first
not...
time that any
Right.
Dracula ever says it.
What about Bob Newby?
Well, I went with
Well,
first
okay.
time, but yeah.
I hope
From
it
Stranger
doesn't
Things.
suck. Yes.
I hope it doesn't suck.
Love that guy.
I do love that, man. Oh, I did get a little teared up when, spoiler alert, in Stranger Things season 2,
Yes,
which you should have already seen, Bob dies. Oh, it's heartbreaking.
He was a good guy.
I fell back in love with Sean Astin.
I kind of
after-
laughed.
Oh, how could you
Not
laugh?
a big
It's
Sean
terrible.
Astin fan.
You're not? Why?
He's always annoying.
I like that guy. He's a good guy.
He's annoying as Sam. He's annoying in Goonies. He's annoying on 24. That's what he does.
No.
He's annoying as Bob.
Oh, come on.
Come on. Okay.
We're gonna do an episode. Does Trevor like anything?
Oh, that'll be our special. That'll be our special episode coming up. Episode 100. We'll try to find it.
SDCC, here we come.
One thing, there you go.
Woo! Like Jeff Goldblum, he actually says, "Now that's a big power." So at least that's not misremembered.
That's not
that
misremembered.
isn't.
Yes.
Well, there it is.
Well, Prague, where do you want to go from here, man? Because there's a lot of misquotes. I mean, I'm looking at this full list that is just
one of my
bonkers.
favorites is "Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, who is the fairest of them all?" And the evil queen never says that. She just says "Magic Mirror on the Wall." So who is the first person who changed it from "Magic Mirror" to "Mirror, Mirror"?
Do you think that maybe it's because as kids that we didn't quite hear it right? Like we're just like mirror, mirror on the, like it's almost like a chant.
I always thought it was
Whereas
mirror.
you say magic
really?
mirror.
That one's not mirror, mirror.
I just watched Snow White like a month ago. I didn't even pick up on, the line at all. Like I didn't even think to listen for it.
No, you wouldn't, right? Because you're probably so used to it being mirror, mirror on the wall, because that's what's been referenced as everything. Anytime a person looks in a mirror in a TV show or cartoon or whatever, it's that line.
And then the new version's probably the one with like Charlize Theron and stuff. I didn't watch it, but I'm assuming she said "Mirror, Mirror on the Wall." And once upon a time, does the evil queen say "Mirror, Mirror on the Wall" when she's talking to?
I don't remember. I don't know. Gotta go back and check. Yeah,
oh,
maybe.
My goodness, I'm like looking it up, and yeah.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I've seen that video before in the past where they actually played the clip, and I'm like, oh wow, she really does say "Magic Mirror," and maybe it is the same thing. It's an old film.
Yeah, actually, you even misread it too, or not misread it, but misquoted as well, because it's supposed to be "Who in this land is the fairest of all?"
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah. Holy cow!
Which is totally a mind freak, man.
Right. So she never says fairest.
She does. She says, "Who in this land
Okay.
is fairest of all?"
Good.
Not mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of all, or whatever.
Right.
It's more sing-song, I guess, but
right.
The version we know is easier, but the original version is more like iambic pentameter. It's weird.
Makes sense.
Yeah, weird. That is wild.
Yeah, I do wonder
first
if
I thought it was
kids...
going to be like the original Grimm fairy tale had Mirror, Mirror, but that's not the case either. I don't know where Snow White's based on.
It's a Grimm fairy tale. No.
Yeah, okay.
It is Grimm.
Well, actually, do you, Prague, have a favorite as well?
I mean, my favorites are kind of the two I already mentioned. There are other ones, like the one that I'll say just because I love the show is Lost. A lot of people like to quote that all the time is, we have to go back. Which technically he does say, but first he does say, Kate, we have to go. We have to go back, Kate. We have to go back is the full line. It's not as exciting to say that, when you're quoting it in person. But yeah,
I never. That's the thing. I have nothing to say because I've never seen Lost.
Right, yeah, I think like even people who haven't seen Lost know that reference. I mean, it's a pretty famous TV line. Yeah, it's pretty famous.
I'm a bad podcaster.
It's okay.
There's that just GIF with.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Beard face McGee. Come on.
I don't even know the GIF
and everything.
Yeah, the GIF. We have to go back. He's all disheveled. He has the Band-Aid over his eyebrow.
No, yeah, I bet if you saw it, you'd be like, oh, okay, maybe I do now. Anyways, that's one of my. I guess I'll put that down as one of my favorites.
I would say, okay, then I will jump into my favorite.
Okay.
I would say Dirty Harry.
Mm-hmm.
The Dirty Harry's "Do You Feel Lucky" punk.
Oh yes. Okay. What is it? What's the line?
Do you want me to do the whole line? Cause
because it's
really
super long. It's tough to remember. So this one I get because it's so hard to remember. Yeah. That's why you misremember an easy version.
Did he fire 6 shots or 5? Well, to tell you the truth and all the excitement, I kind of lost track myself. But being as this is a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off, you've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Right.
Sorry, I have a hard time reading fast.
Oh, that was good. That was
reading
good.
hard. Alex, do good now. Good. Yes.
The thing is, I do remember that whole quote, but I don't necessarily remember it like that way. You know what I mean? Like, I do remember him saying all that stuff, but I always thought it was, do you feel lucky, punk? Well, do you?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It's not. He's
but
saying
it's so easy.
Right. It's so much easier than telling someone what they're saying.
Sorry, I keep
it's okay.
jumping in there. I feel like that almost stems from Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey doing Dirty Harry impressions.
Yeah,
because
he did his stand-up with that. Yeah.
He did his stand-up doing that line. He did, even in, I think it was not Evan Almighty, but Bruce Almighty. He even does that line in Bruce Almighty. And I believe he does it wrong. No, he might have done it right in that movie. But I keep hearing it. Do you feel lucky, punk?
Well, sure, of course. That's what they say in a lot of other stuff. It's not just him. I mean, it's referenced all the time as other things. But I think the reason why it's misremembered is because it's like it's all what Trevor was talking about earlier is context. Like, why would you go up to somebody and tell them what they're saying? Like, you're going to say, I feel lucky? Well, do you? Like, no, you're going to say, do you feel lucky, right? It's very
without
awkward.
The entire,
it doesn't make any sense without it.
Pieces out,
Yeah, so it's just, it makes sense for us to remember it differently, and it cuts it down. It makes it funnier, I guess. I don't know. More quotable.
Well, speaking of funnier, I mean, like you mentioned earlier, The Simpsons do variations, and I've seen The Simpsons so much that they don't go word for word, and their version of it I might pick up on because, like, from Planet of the Apes, they have that whole Planet of the Apes musical, which is one of the best TV, like, 5 minutes of all time. But in the original movie, he says, "Get your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape." The actual quote is almost identical. It's just, "Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape." But then in The Simpsons, in the musical, it is sing-song, and it's the whole just, "Get your paws off me, you dirty ape." And then it goes into the whole thing. So it's just fun, man. You got to have fun with these quotes because The Simpsons...
I want you to sing
changes
the song.
everything.
I want to know how this song goes.
Sing it.
Well, they have the funny parts like, "Can I play the piano anymore?" "Of course you can." "Well, I couldn't before."
Oh, that's a good
I think
episode,
you're crazy, but a second opinion. "You're all so lazy." See, it's just, it's all sing-song.
You know this all off the top of your head.
Oh, I mean,
wow.
I hate every chimp I see from chimpan A to chimpanzee. I mean, these are money quotes.
They're money quotes, that's for sure.
I'm like super impressed
stuff
right now. I was not expecting to get a musical out of it.
I wasn't. That was great.
Yeah, Simpsons, man.
I mean, it was more spoken word, but still, it was good.
It's
but still, the fact that you can remember
poetry
as much as you did
here on Secondary Heroes. Well, here's one I have for you guys. This is from Cool Hand Luke, which is a great movie if anyone hasn't seen it. Classic. But a lot of people say it wrong as, "What we have here is a failure to communicate," which is something I say all the time.
Before you go into what it actually is, I've never seen Cool Hand Luke, but I know that quote, and I've said that quote 1,000 times.
Sure, we all do. We say it in everything. It could be in video games, anything. It could be
is a failure to communicate. Yes.
Yeah, they say in cartoons, and it's not
all
that
the
at all.
time. So what is it?
What we've got here is a failure to communicate. So it's semantics.
So this is another one of those change one or two things. And
yeah, but it's not as dramatic to say what we've got here, right?
Right.
It's a little more passive. It's like what we have here is a failure to communicate.
Well, kind of in the same if we're gonna do the one word changey things, one that everybody knows of is the Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, the one I do all the time, and I'm so mad that I misquote it every time too. I love doing it.
Hello, Clarice.
That's so much better though.
It is.
It is. It rolls off the tongue. Hello,
It's
Clarice.
menacing. Yeah.
Is not correct. The correct quote would be. Do you guys know what it is off the top of your head?
Good evening,
Yeah, I looked this up.
Clarice.
It is. It is.
Okay,
It is good
okay.
evening. Good evening, Clarice. But hello, Clarice. You're absolutely right, Trevor. It's more menacing. It sounds. I don't know. It just sounds.
It's more inviting,
spookier.
I think, in a spooky way, right?
It's spookier.
Yeah.
Good evening, Clarice is kind of. I don't know.
It's almost like you're ready to sit down with a book by the fire. Oh, good evening.
Good
Clarice.
evening, Clarice.
Whereas hello, Clarice sounds like he's gonna rip her, face
Yes!
off and eat it for dinner. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Oh my god.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of that movie is actually misquoted. I don't know. I just think it probably is. Buffalo Bill and everything is probably misquoted a lot too, with the lotion in the basket and all that stuff. I feel like a lot of people don't know all the lyrics there, all the quotes there as well. But
Well, I mean,
anyways.
I feel like a little bit of that could be from like Joe Dirt or something like
Sure.
that, because they did a whole Silence of the Lambs scene in Joe Dirt.
Yeah.
It puts the lotion on the skin, or it gets the hose again.
Right.
But
That
that's
actually, I think,
probably
is-
the line. Yeah,
that is the line, though. But here's one actually, because I'm old, so I grew up with this film. I don't know if you guys did, but there's a film called Field of Dreams, which is a great baseball movie.
Field
right?
of Dreams.
It's an old timey film back in the day. But the quote, like, I don't know if you hear it as much anymore, but like growing up as a kid, like you would hear this quote all the time. Like, if you build it, they will come. All the time. I mean, anytime something gets erected new in a society, whether it's a new stadium or a new building or whatever,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter, right? Is if you build it, they will come, which is not the quote in the movie at all. Because the film is about his father.
Yeah, that almost feels like it's a marketing change. Like it's been in commercials and
Right.
everything that they've changed the whole meaning.
Right, which is actually a tie-in to another one that I want to bring up as well. But the actual quote is, if you build it, he will come, meaning his father. His father will come to the field and talk to him. That was the whole point behind it. Not they will come.
If you build it, he will come.
Yes, that's the quote.
But so during that one's a tough one, because don't they say they will come eventually in the movie?
No.
Because more and more ball players start showing up.
Sure, but that's not the point of the movie.
No, I get that.
No, but they never do. It's always he.
Say.
Yeah.
Oh,
Crazy, huh?
So weird.
But what Trevor was saying is right. Like sometimes in marketing, they do change it to make it broader. So, for example, another one that's been kind of famous and popular with the Mandela effect online is the box of chocolates line from
life is like a box of chocolates.
Forrest Gump, right? And
Mama
it's not
always
that
told me
that life was like a box of chocolates, not is like a box of chocolates. So here's the thing, though. It is actually misquoted on the back of the VHS cover and on like movie posters.
Okay, so that's something that was in our face
right
the whole
it's
time.
Purposely misquoted on.
Well, that's
on
a whole past tense, present tense thing that has a big meaning because his mom is past tense.
Right. But I don't think you really knew that at that time, right? Like,
no, I know.
His
I'm
mom
just
had passed when he first says it either. So it's kind of like, it's weird, like maybe they didn't want to spoil that on the material. I don't know.
I can see that too.
I don't know. Maybe that was their reasoning. Actually, they're like, hey, that's a spoiler. You got to change that. And now everyone's saying it wrong. It's like, wait a second. Not that it's that big of a deal, but you do feel kind of dumb when you do hear it, I think.
A lot of it is subject based too. Like I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. That makes sense because the subject of the sentence is put at the forefront. Mr. DeMille shouldn't be anywhere else because the actual quote is, all right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up. But saying that you're ready for your close-up is the priority of the sentence, and so you put it at the front.
Makes sense, right?
Right. That totally makes sense.
It's the whole thing with Toto and feeling, and because the object you're trying to convey isn't that you're talking about Toto. No. You're talking about the feeling that you're not in Kansas anymore. It's the same
true.
idea.
Very good call. Very good call. I like that.
But the whole rolling off the tongue thing really does. Like, and I'm gonna jump into like, what is it? Apollo 13.
That's a good one.
Houston, we have a problem. We've all been saying Houston, we have a problem our whole lives.
Everyone says it. Every movie says it that references any kind of problem.
Exactly. Any kind of problem. Houston, we have a problem.
Yep.
I mean, and it's just something simple. It's just a couple words. It's Houston, we've had a problem.
Oh.
Which it doesn't roll off your tongue. And I don't know. I just feel Houston, we have a problem is just so much easier to say.
That was a good like you're talking
That
into
was.
the speaker. That was really good.
That's my pilot voice.
I wonder if he said it.
We're at 42,000 feet and climbing, so we're going to leave the atmosphere. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I'm wondering if he said it passively enough to where we just didn't hear it that way, like we heard it as we have a problem, so it sounded more exciting that way. Like it's more dramatic.
A problem
right?
is not dramatic at all.
No, it's like, all right, well,
Right.
Done. It's good. Let's move
like
on.
That Simpsons takeoff of The Shining, where Marge calls in and she's like, "My husband's on a murderous rampage. Over." And then Chief Wiggum's like, "Oh, glad that's over."
Right? Exactly. Whew, all right. Don't have to worry about that now. You guys continue on. Carry on as you were.
So what I'm noticing, a lot of these movies that we have on our list are more older films. Is that just because we quote older films more than we quote these newer movies?
Newer movies are quoting older movies too.
Right. But there's okay, for instance, you'll never mistaken On Your Left from Avenger or from, what is that? Is that Winter Soldier?
Endgame.
It's from Endgame.
Well,
No, he says it in Endgame, but the first time he says it.
Its first time is Winter Soldier.
Yeah. That's not one of those.
Well, here's the thing, though, too.
Off on your left. You're not going to misquote that.
But that any movie made within like the last 5 to 10 years is now permanently on like YouTube and GIFs all the time. So we're always seeing that. Whereas back in the day, we didn't have the luxury of media all the time. So we had to go off our memory from like months or years ago. I'm like, I think that's how that went.
In 50 years, do you think anyone's going to misremember saying "I am Iron Man" or "I love you 3000"? I mean, there's they're simple to begin with.
That's a good question. What would it be? What would they change it to?
What, I love you 5,000?
I like you. I don't know. I think I'm Iron Man. Or
it's funny because those quotes are already simple. They're I wonder if script writers are making things simpler on purpose, or maybe not on purpose, but to convey meaning.
Right. They weren't thinking about that back in the day. They weren't like, I wonder if this is going to be a slogan someday or a catchphrase.
Well, and I think, like, for instance, you were saying, I am Iron Man. I mean, you've got a song to even back that one up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got a whole song. I am Iron Man. Yeah. So, but it is interesting. I mean, are movies even old enough? Like, when does a movie become old enough to where it does get quotable enough? Because I don't feel like I'm quoting anything from anything new. There's nothing all that quotable that's going to stay in my.
I don't know, the 3 from Endgame we just mentioned.
We did do that a lot. Yeah.
But I would never say those.
That's not. But just things
that doesn't mean other people will.
Yeah.
Right.
People
but
post
where
that
in
online all the
context
time.
is someone going to say I am Iron Man? You know what I mean? I don't know.
People say on your left,
you know what? There's enough nerds out there.
I mean, when was the last time you had somebody say "Play it again, Sam"? Who?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I don't go to bars with piano players all that often.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? I'll bet the most
Saloon.
recent thing is probably going to be like Animaniacs or something like that. Because Animaniacs,
nurse.
Dude, they used to quote so many old movies all the time.
Right? I love that.
So I want to jump into another really good quote that everybody says wrong, and it's from a great movie. I love this. The wrong quote is, "Greed is good."
Oh yes, it's Wall Street.
from Wall Street.
Yes. It's not that.
Oh, and
long.
this
It's
is
like something
another
long,
one of
right?
those. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
another
yeah.
one of those long ones that have just been chopped down to greed is good.
Right, because it's a good catchphrase, right? On the
Yeah,
marketing
exactly.
materials.
But you know what? I think that's what they used on the marketing
I
on
bet
like
they
the
did.
VHS cover or the
Yeah.
movie poster saying greed is good.
What's
But
the
the actual quote is, point is, ladies and gentlemen, that greed, for lack of better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works. That is your quote.
So technically, he does say it. You just take
He
out a lot
doesn't
of-
say
You gotta
greed
take all
is-
these
You
words
just
out.
take all the words out. That's all.
You gotta take the words out to make it
Smash it
happen.
together.
Yeah.
And there's your catchphrase. There you go. There you have
I mean,
it.
Apocalypse Now is a super long quote.
I was
mean,
literally
yeah.
about to bring that one up too.
because I love the smell of napalm in the morning. It smells like victory. That's short, it's sweet, it's simple. But in that movie is long. It has a long runtime, so they got to fill it with long ass verbose
Soliloquies and all sorts of
soliloquies
stuff,
to human
yes.
understanding and all that stuff. So he actually says, "You smell that? Do you smell that napalm, son? Nothing else in the world smells like that. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. You know, one time we had a hill bombed for 12 hours. When it was all over, I walked up. We didn't find one of them, not one stinking dink body. The smell, you know, that gasoline smell, the whole hill smells like victory." And I like that he said dink. That is
Think, yep.
it's so timely.
Ah, good times.
Oh. But no one's going to remember that whole
No.
damn long quote. I love the
No.
smell of napalm in the morning. That is easy.
Perfect. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you can throw that in anything. You can throw that in a war game. You can throw that in almost anything.
It's on coffee mugs.
Rom-coms, everything.
Exactly.
Everything. Yeah.
I believe
course.
they said it in You've Got Mail.
Oh, they did. Oh, yes.
Pretty sure. Hey,
Oh,
you know
Tom
what?
Hanks.
Someone's got to look up You've Got Mail now, and they're gonna say, "Oh, they don't say that."
Didn't say that. Oh, funny.
But we actually started this whole episode off with Star Wars. And I didn't realize this, but there is
Yes.
another misquote from Star Wars.
Oh, I'm sure there's quite a few. What was another
But-
one you know?
The other one is, "May the Force be with you."
Okay.
That's not actually said. It's actually
Or-
said, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah,
Later,
I mean,
yes.
it's
Yeah.
said, but
Just not
Han says
probably.
it.
Yeah.
Han says it very sarcastically. Obi-Wan never says it, even though Obi-Wan's the whole mentor. He says, "Remember, the Force will be with you always." And that's
Right,
no
he's-
fun
yeah.
to say, "May the Force be with you," or, I mean, it's a
No,
damn
right?
day
But
on the
that's the thing.
calendar now.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's a misquote. We
Yeah.
look at it. And
No
but
way,
it's
Remember,
yeah.
the
Star
Force
Wars.
will be with you always. I'm never going to say that to somebody.
Remember,
Doesn't
the
Han
Force will be
Solo
with you.
say it? He
Always.
says it in a later film. He doesn't say it in the first film.
No.
He does when he leaves with his bounty. And he's like being sarcastic.
Oh,
and
yeah,
Luke's
he's
like,
saying-
"Oh,
yeah,
you're
may
such
the-
a prick for leaving."
Yeah, may the Force.
He's like, "Yeah, may the Force be with you."
I'm pretty sure the line is "May the Force be with you, kid," or something like that.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
It's like an offhanded, kind of sarcastic way of saying it. But I do quote that quote though that Obi-Wan says. So I'm that nerd that does. I
Yeah.
like it. It's a nice.
Oh,
quote.
wait, you quote it like the
The
real
whole
way?
thing, Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. I like that line a lot.
And you have to say it like
What a
Obi-Wan
nerd.
does say
Yes.
it too.
I pause and everything. Yeah.
Hold on, Ned,
Remember.
give it to us. Let's hear it.
No, I'm not gonna do it on the spot.
You
Oh,
just
you
made me
can't
sing
perform
Frank
under
Sinatra.
pressure.
I can't perform a version. Don't look. I bet you though there is the movie that I probably quote, or at least I've had quoted the most over the last like 2 decades was the Lord of the Rings trilogy because there's so many great lines in that movie. But I wonder because I haven't checked. I wonder if there are lines from that movie that I'm misquoting.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, some
who-
Gollum sayings.
that's the
I'm
thing.
sure,
I'm sure
you
there's
change
Gollum
the words
sayings,
up.
right? Like
precious.
no,
Oh.
no. I mean, he's just precious.
Well, dude, those movies are like 24 hours long, each one of them.
Oh, they
So
should be
yeah, you're
longer.
probably gonna. You wish they were longer.
Yeah, I wish there were like
I
double
can't think of
extended
one
cuts.
quote from Lord of the Rings when you
I
said
can't
there's
even-
so many quotable
Except
things.
for
I was like,
My Precious is the only thing I can think of out of
My
all those
goodness.
movies.
Whatever. Okay, fine.
I
definitely
know you
not
said you know
common
so
pop
many.
culture stuff.
I gotta
It might
know
be
one
like
of
super
them,
Lord
man.
of the Rings fan stuff.
Like what?
You'll
I
have
thought
my
you said-
axe.
Yeah, see? There you go. You have my bow.
Oh yeah. Okay.
We shall be the Fellowship of the Ring.
Oh, that one doesn't count. Or no, that counts as one, where he brings down the elephant. That I remember. He brings down the
Anyways.
gigantic elephant after they're counting
That's
all
what
their
you call.
kills.
We should have movie
It's-
retelling on our podcast where we just jump
Don't-
around randomly and describe
have me
things
do
in
it.
weird ways.
It's an elephant. It's
You
not
know
an
that
elephant.
part?
It's not an elephant. It's an elephant. It's a different creature altogether. So
I'm
just-
sorry. What was that nerd? I mean, what was that, Prague?
Hold on.
Get your glasses back.
Okay. Anyways, let's move on to other stuff then. Since we're not
I want to
gonna-
jump
since
back
we
to an
escaped
oldie
Sure.
again.
Yeah.
A Few Good Men. Everybody quotes the.
You
A
can't
Few
handle
Good
the
Men.
truth.
Yeah, that's what it
You
is,
want the
right?
truth? You can't handle the truth. That sounds right. That sounds proper.
Right, that is
No,
what it is, right? Right,
That's
right.
very wrong, my friends.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
context thing, huh?
dang it.
Nick,
What is
well,
it?
it's a back and forth thing. It's a Nicholson says, "You want answers," or no, he goes, "You want answers?" Cruz says, "I want the truth." Nicholas, "You can't handle the truth." So it's a back and forth thing. It's not so much
right,
you
but
want
it's
the
still-
truth, you can't handle the truth.
So it's what we did was we combined the two characters together into one.
Pretty much, yeah. So you're taking.
I want the
the
truth.
two
No, you
lines.
want the truth. You. Oh, interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah. So yeah,
Huh.
that is actually kind of neat that they combine two characters' quotes into one.
Right. I mean,
Well,
I would.
they. I'm saying they, but it's everybody. Everybody does this.
I will be honest though. I don't often say the full thing. I usually just say you can't handle the truth. So,
Yeah.
but I have heard it the other way though. Like you said, it's you. You want the truth. You can't handle the truth, which is what you do here quite a lot too. But I usually just skip that.
There's
Yeah,
two
straight.
movies with like angry sequences, two older movies. First is Network, where he says, "I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore."
I'm mad as hell. Right. Is that not how it goes?
He says this anymore instead of it.
Wait,
I'm not going to take this anymore.
I'm
Instead
mad
of
as
I'm
hell.
not going to take it
and
anymore.
I'm not. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
But it anymore sounds so much better because it's
Right.
such a big
Right. I'm not gonna
envelope
take
of
it.
everything.
Yes.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna take this anymore. This anymore. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Got another
is
one
fun.
for you.
No,
Got
that's
another
fine.
one,
Okay.
Prague.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Prague.
sir.
This is probably up your alley since it's an older movie. Gone with the Wind.
Okay.
Ooh.
What's the line in Gone with the
Frankly,
Wind that
dear, I
every-
don't give a damn.
So that's the right line.
What?
That's what I feel everybody's been saying. But for some
Right.
reason, this article says, frankly, Scarlett, I don't give a damn.
Oh, he says Scarlett. He doesn't
Oh,
say
he actually
my
says her
dear.
name.
No. That's
Wait.
the wrong way. This article is saying that's what people are saying wrong. But the actual quote is, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Which I thought
That's
that was
weird.
pretty much kind
I've
of
never heard
common
someone
knowledge.
use her name in that
I've-
quote.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because all of these quotes, they're making it so I can use it in conversation.
Correct. Right.
Right.
What he was saying. Yeah. It's. The
I'm not
point
going to
is
call
be-
Prague Scarlet,
You mean you can if you want.
just on certain occasions. But yeah,
Okay. Oh, we weren't supposed to mention that on the episode.
are we
Anyways.
recording?
Are we recording? Oh, what's that? Alex is looking up something right now. He's trying to find a good quote. I'll
Yeah,
skip
keep
in
going.
here with another oldie here because I do like the movie. It's called The Graduate.
Oh,
Old timey movie.
I was literally just looking at that one too.
So the one that I've always said too is Mrs. Robinson. Are you trying to seduce me? Because it's more exciting. Like, oh my god, like, are you trying to seduce me? Like, what's going on?
we
here? And
said
it's-
this quote in a previous
No,
episode.
we did, yes, and it actually is Mrs. Robinson. You're trying to seduce me, aren't you? Oh, that's
Yeah,
kind of
that's
lame.
no fun.
That is no fun at
No
all.
fun.
Oh, you're trying to seduce me, aren't you?
I
Oh,
mean,
boy.
in the movie when you're watching
boy.
it, yeah, it works, but man, yeah, it's so much.
It's not.
It
as
is better
exciting.
to use. Are you trying to seduce me? Just in everyday vernacular.
Right, like you walk in somewhere, like, oh, are you trying to seduce me? Like that's more fun, right?
How often do you walk in on people trying to seduce you? There,
All the time. What are you talking about?
time.
I purposely go into situations for that reason. Like, oh, it's a wedding. Perfect. Let's walk into random rooms and start telling people that. Anyway,
So I've been trying to look for a fairly recent movie.
it's tough.
Well, before you get there, let me just say for the angry past movies, Treasure of the Sierra Madre.
Okay.
Sierra Madre is my hometown, so this
Ah.
movie has nothing to do with it other than it shares the Mexican equivalent of the mountain range. But anyway, people always say badges. We don't need no stinking badges.
That's the line.
Short, it's sweet, it's fun.
Right.
Turns out badges, we ain't got no badges. We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges. So it's a super long quote. Come on. Just, we don't need no stinking badges.
Yeah, that's what I say all the time. I can use that other quote. Come on. It's ridiculous. Shrink that down and make it useful.
Like if you had a better version of the quote is he whips out his gun and he's like, badges, this is my badge.
There you go.
That's an improved version of quotes.
Right? Yeah, it's kind of tougher, huh, for the newer ones. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I'm even trying to do research right now, just on the fly. And
well, do you
I've
count
got
Titanic
nothing.
as a recent movie?
No.
It's
But even that one is
22
just
years
like
old.
that one's just like a one-word one. That's not even like.
But still, everyone says I'm king of the world.
Right.
I've never heard one person say I'm the king of the world. It's a stupid.
I'm the king of the world. See, I would say I'm the king of the world.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard it say that. It's just I'm king of the world. It's a preposition or a pronoun that you don't need.
I'm king of the world. Yeah, I would drop the. My hands are up right now. My arms are up, and I would definitely drop the. Yeah, I can tell.
You would get rid of the.
Mm-hmm.
The
I would drop it. I would drop it. It's unnecessary. King of the world. I'm pretty sure James Cameron said it too when he made his exceptions.
Yeah,
speech.
I think he said it himself.
There you go. Interesting. Now, here's the thing, though. A lot of these lines are probably written and rewritten like a billion times in, editing and everything, right? They probably have different takes, too, and they'll even realize sometimes what ends up in the final cut. They're like, fine, that's whatever.
And that's another thing. A lot of these could also be improv on the spot.
Yep.
Which I think whenever I said the earlier in the show, I said, "Here's looking at you, kid." I think even that line was improv.
Actually, I think that is one of the more famous improv lines in history. So looking at you, kid.
And that's the thing. Maybe when the scripts are like released, I know that you can go online and you can look up scripts. I'm sure that the script says one thing, but the actor obviously said her own line.
Yep. Or screwed it up and they kept it anyways, or whatever.
Right.
Who knows?
Exactly.
Or a director
last
minute. Yeah.
I mean, there's the Frankenstein one. That's another super old movie. Everyone says he's alive.
He's alive.
It's alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an it. It's it.
It is an it. Well, it's a creation.
He's alive, though. People love using that in other movies.
That's another whole thing as well. Calling the monster Frankenstein. That's
a whole different thing. That's a whole different subject.
Everybody
almost.
calls it monster Frankenstein when it's
right.
It's
not.
Frankenstein's
It's
monster.
It's Frankenstein. Frankenstein's monster. Yes. Nice knockers. Thanks.
And just to be fun, let's just jump over into music again. I'm gonna ask you guys a couple.
Okay, and I have one for music too. When you're done.
No. Actually, why don't you throw one?
Fire away.
Yeah.
Well,
with your best shot.
Away.
So when I was younger, and I know that it's not just me. I've actually heard this from quite a few other people that they often mishear "Bad Moon on the Rise" because the way they sing it's kind of sloppy. I always thought it was "Bathroom on the Right."
What?
Yeah. For
Sing
the
the song.
longest time. Oh God, "Bathroom on the Right." I can't sing that song. Come on. I can't sing. But
I
Bad
just
Moon
can't
on the
imagine.
Rise, Bathroom on the Right.
There's a bad moon on the rise. Yeah.
There's a bathroom on the right.
I can't.
As a kid, you don't know any difference. Like, bathroom on the. What does "Bad Moon on the Rise" mean to a kid, right? When I was a kid, I was like, bathroom on the right. Okay, there's a bathroom on the right.
Well, I've got one when I was a kid as well. Don't go chasing waterfalls by TLC.
Right. You were a kid when that came out?
Well, let's see. When did that come out? That would have come out in what, 98? No.
Yeah.
Probably 94.
It was probably a little earlier than that.
If it was 94, I think I was 9.
Anyways.
Yeah, I was a kid.
Okay.
So I always heard it as "don't go Jason waterfalls." Now that was one that I heard as a kid, and I always said as a kid because Yeah, I thought.
Don't go Jason Waterfalls.
Well, because I thought they knew a
I can
guy
sing that one.
named
That
Jason.
song.
I thought they knew a guy named Jason, and
Don't go Jason.
his last name is
You
Waterfalls.
don't leave.
Don't
Jason
go
Waterfalls.
Jason Waterfalls.
Don't go, Jason Waterfalls.
Don't go.
Don't go Jason Waterfalls.
Like, man, this song is
What?
really true to its art.
Oh boy.
But after a while, I grew up and stuck to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. So,
Okay.
here, I'm going to give you a couple, and let's see if you can guess what the wrong lyrics are.
Okay.
A year has passed since I wrote my note. This is a police song, Message in the Bottle. Message in a bottle.
Ooh.
A year has passed since I wrote my note. That is the correct line.
Okay. So you're.
Has wrote my note. Yeah, you got to sing it like Sting does, really stupidly.
Sounds like he's Jamaican.
Best he tries to.
Well, I'll just tell you then. A year has passed since I broke my nose.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that.
Nope,
That
I
works.
can't.
Okay.
No. All right. Will Smith's Getting Jiggy with It.
No.
Nah. Now, people seem to be able to getting jiggy with it wrong. What do you think people are calling getting jiggy with it? Even though that's the name of the song, people still hear it differently.
Getting
Piggy
Biggie with it? Biggie?
Yeah, so
Nope.
Miss Piggy dropped down with Kermit. That's what I'm
This
going
is one of those dumb ones. Kick a chicken with it. That is what this is telling me. Kick a chicken with it.
No.
with. Creating fake people to have made up problems with songs. I need
Yeah.
to start a website.
I think that's what the website
surveyed
you
all these
found.
people who came up with stupid ideas. None actually exist.
Like that Jason one. Whew.
Okay, the Jason
There's no
one.
one who thought Jason
would
Waterfalls.
think
That's
that?
made up.
I absolutely thought Jason Waterfalls. Sorry. I'll just do one last one. This is another really dumb one that I doubt anybody ever heard because never
Okay.
mind. Because people are dumb.
Yes.
Baby Got Back by Sir Mix-a-Lot. The line is, I like big butts and I cannot lie. What do you think people screwed that up with?
I like big yachts.
So
and I
lie
cannot
rhymes
lie.
with guy and rye. I'm gonna say it's some yeast rising bread analogy. I like
I
it.
really like that you're actually rhyming at least. Because people seem to think, I like big butts in a can of limes.
What?
I like big
Yeah,
butts.
these
in
people
a
don't
can of limes.
exist.
Yeah, I don't think these people
Dude,
exist. I think there's
you know
just
what?
bots that were put on the
This has
website.
to be some kind of this has to be
These are
some
monkey typewriter versions of his lyrics.
Some 14-year-old kid wanted attention and created a website.
Yeah, there's like maybe like 2 or 3 of them that are correct. How about one more? Let's see. ABBA's Dancing Queen. The correct lyric is Dancing Queen, feel the beat from the tambourine.
Okay.
This one I
Dance.
could kind of see people
Is it
screwing up
tangerine?
if they're
Yeah.
an idiot.
Tangerine.
Yeah, tangerine.
Okay.
Feel the beat from the tangerine. Totally dumb, but people.
That's when you're throwing tangerines at kids.
Right. Well, I do that.
It's
on
like a
occasion.
carry type of prom, but instead of blood, they just throw tangerines at them.
Sure.
Oh my
I can create backstories out of every one of these.
I guess so, man. All right. Well,
Woo, I
I'm
think
good with
that's
the
good.
music
I
ones.
think
yeah,
that's
I think
we
that's
definitely
good.
get it.
to everyone listening. I think that's everything for episode 65. We hope you enjoy. We do all that social cool stuff that we talked about earlier. To everyone listening, we hope you enjoyed, and we'll talk to you next time.
And remember, don't go Jason Waterfalls. This is Prague. I'm out.
This new Loki theory is intriguing and would change everything. That is your clickbait of the week.
Was it a low-key theory or a Loki theory? Did I hear
Hey,
that?
did you hear that right?
Oh no.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.